Today, we're going to be talking about dating for the future. Is this someone who I can picture as the mother of my kids?
Yeah.
Is this person someone I can picture being 5 years married with? But there's some people who are like, you know what? I want to be deliberate and intentional with who I marry, who I spend the rest of my life with. And so we want to kind of give you these tools because they really helped us.
Yeah.
And we think it can help you as well. Oftentimes, when people meet us or people who've known us for a while learn more about our relationship or our marriage, they'll ask the question that almost every couple gets asked. How did you know that they were the one? In addition, people often ask, how do I find the one, or how do I identify the person who I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life with?
And we want to give a better answer than when you know, you know.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's not really helpful.
That's
But
helpful. I mean, like, in some ways it's kind of true.
It is true.
But, like, I think people need a little bit
Yeah,
more
when
work
people
with
are
than
asking, when people are asking, they want something more tangible.
that. Yeah, they don't want to hear when
You know,
you know.
when you know, you know. Now go figure it out.
And, you know, that's probably not the case for every single couple.
Mm-hmm.
They might, like feel pretty confident in the person they're marrying, but not, like, know just, like, right off the bat and have this confidence.
Sometimes you meet the person and then you increasingly know as time goes on.
Exactly.
But I think the main theme we want to hit today is this idea of dating for the future. I think oftentimes when people are approaching dating, they approach it in a vacuum and they almost like separate the people, separate the person that they're dating based on the stage that the relationship is in. So for example, they'd go like intake phase, which is like when you meet them at an event or friends set you up.
A meet cute. You know what a meet cute is?
No.
It's
I've never heard that term before. A meet cute?
It's like
I feel weird saying that.
It's like, you know, like in a book, like when you like meet someone in a coffee shop.
Oh yeah.
Or like you bump into them on the sidewalk and then you guys lock eyes and you're like,
so that's called
wait a second.
A meet cute.
Yeah.
Like MEET and then it's cute. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Or meet cute.
It's like when you're pretty much judging someone based off their looks, I guess.
Yeah.
And like their vibe. And then you're like imagining what dating them could be like.
So we're calling that intake phase.
Yeah. All business.
Which is like you reach out to them on Instagram or you meet them on a dating app, and then we kind of hold that stage in a vacuum, and then it's the dating or seeing each other phase where it's like, oh, we'll go for coffee,
getting to know each other.
Then it's like we're officially dating.
Yeah.
Then it goes to engagement, then marriage, parenting, 10 years married, 20 years, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that
old together.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about like running the person you know at each phase through the like future 3 or 4 or 5 stages. So practically what this would look like is Mariah and I are dating and I go
hypothetically, we're married.
Yeah, we're married now. Hypothetically, we're dating, and I go, is this someone who I can picture as the mother of my kids?
Yeah.
Is this person someone I can picture being 5 years married with? And then like the honeymoon phase is past, and we're just settling into routine.
Yeah, and I think like this is when you're in a long-term relationship with someone, or long-term, however you want to define that. I think I was thinking about those things when I was thinking about you and being like, am I in love with Daniel? Like, how do you know if if you love someone?
Yeah.
And I kind of ran it through this test of like picturing the worst thing I could go through in life. So maybe losing someone close to me or getting in a bad car accident or whatever that could be. And if I picture that moment, who do I want beside me? I want Daniel beside me. Of course, I want him in all the good moments, but I think what really like solidified to me that I knew that I loved him is that I wanted him there in all the bad moments as well.
Yeah. I have a friend who was dating this girl, and she was pretty. He really liked her. She dressed nice, had really cool outfits, did her hair really nice. There's a couple things that he noticed as they were like seeing each other. So they weren't officially dating, but as they're seeing each other, they realized that this girl was a bit too materialistic, and she cared almost like too much about her appearance and what she was wearing and how she looked. And he's like, the person I am going to marry and build a family with will be someone who cares about putting themselves together, of
Yeah.
course, but won't be someone who's overly consumed with themselves and how they look.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was like such a cool and honest reflection from a guy who is still single and really was able to know what he wants because he like compared the person he was at this current stage with a future stage.
Yeah, it's not like they were running into a bunch of problems in the dating stage with her materialism.
Yeah.
It was more like he's thinking, okay, who do I see myself marrying?
Yeah, and building a family with.
And building a family with. And that almost like filtered her out of his life.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds really harsh, but like it did.
And I think for some people it's the opposite. Maybe it's like for a guy or for a girl, it's like, I really care about a guy who's really put together or a girl who's really put together and has expensive taste and likes high quality things.
Or doesn't mind that I spend on clothes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to moralize
totally
like materialism or spending or caring about your appearance being like a bad thing versus a good thing. I'm just saying you have to think about those things when you're seeing people. Because I think sometimes we'll go like, oh, this person's really attractive and they're funny. But that is almost like optimal traits for intake phase.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily an optimal trait for engagement.
Yeah, you want to be about like 5 layers deeper.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're thinking about marrying
you want to
someone.
go like the person I'm with now, the person I'm texting, the person I'm going on dates with, over time, and obviously you don't have to make this decision in the first date. You don't have to make this decision in the first 3 dates. But over time, you're going to start wanting to almost like run them through the filter of your future life.
Yeah. And what
ask,
you want.
does this person fit at every stage of life? Or can I see them having the potential to fit in every stage?
Or are we moving towards that together?
Exactly.
Because sometimes people date people and they don't move them forward in any way. Instead, they move them backwards. Like something I loved about our relationship when we were dating is I felt like we really like refined each other. Like we really like pushed each other to become better in a lot of ways. And I think that's a important filter to run through in the dating phase as well. Like, what has my life looked different in a positive way since being with this person?
Yeah.
Because like, you're not saying like you're a reflection of the 5 people most closest to you. That person's gonna be the closest to you and shaping you the most.
And you know what I've noticed? Sometimes there's almost like glitches in the system where something that you think is going to be a future or an imminent challenge actually hits you earlier than you thought. So you're able to see how this person's going to be a support to you in the future or in future grief because of present grief.
Oh, okay.
Because
like losing a job or losing
like
a
I have a
family
friend
member.
who had a grandma who got really sick and passed away and was seeing someone and that person wasn't a good support to them in that moment but everything was right about the relationship but they noticed in that moment that like oh, this person doesn't have the degree of compassion or patience or just empathy that I need.
Yeah,
then they were able to realize that in the moment and they eventually ended the relationship based on that almost like characteristic that they saw in the person.
Yeah, because that's not going to get better.
Yeah,
really.
and so oftentimes you don't have to deal with hypotheticals, but there's moments that almost like break into the present that allow you to see, oh, this is how they handle stress.
Yeah, and
or this is how they handle grief.
Could be in a positive way too. Like we have another friend that had just a bad accident happen at work and was newly dating someone at the time. And his girlfriend really walked with him and was like present with him through that grief and helped him to process it. And I thought that was really cool. And they're still together and I feel like that was it's like a crazy moment to have so early on when you're together, but also like a very clarifying moment. Yeah.
To end the video, we're going to share 2 examples of how we did this in our relationship. Okay. So for me, I remember there was a distinct moment when I was downtown meeting Mariah, who had just finished class, and I was going to take her out for dinner for a date. This is when we were dating, probably, I don't know, 8 months in, 10 months into dating. And I remember you had an assignment due that day, and we were just finishing up dinner, and you reached into your backpack, and you're like, oh, I just have to finish like submitting this thing really quick. And I remember like there being like a look on your face. I'm pretty sure the picture was still on my phone because I was like, oh, I want to capture this moment.
Yeah.
And in that moment, when you cracked your laptop, submitted your assignment, you showed me the almost like the promise of someone who can almost like carry the complexities of life, where it's like you're enjoying this dinner where we're like joking around, having fun, laughing, but you also like carried your responsibilities with a level of seriousness where you're like, I still have to get work done. And so you cracking your laptop in that moment and submitting that assignment made me think like, oh, she can carry the complex nature of life, sometimes being joyful and also stressful in the same moment. And that was something I really valued for myself and something I really valued in the person I would raise a family with, build a life with. And so I remember that was a moment that stood out to me that I was like, oh, she's showing that almost like a part of her character that is pretty unique to her.
Yeah. And I feel like obviously it wasn't just that moment that made Daniel think that. It was like a collection of moments, and that moment is like the picture of it.
And then I think that for me what stood out too is that like there's some people who go, I have an assignment due tonight. I'm an A student. I'm not going to dinner. Or people who go, who cares about that assignment? I want to go to dinner. But the fact that you had good grades, you're an A student, you could almost like absorb the stress of the moment, but simultaneously almost like relax a bit and take in the dinner, then submit your assignment. I felt like the juxtaposition of the two really stood out to me and made me fall in love. Again and again and again.
I'm blushing.
So there we go.
Okay, that's your example.
Yeah. There's a certain face you make when you're bashful and you made that face.
It's like an upside down smile.
It's kind of, maybe. I haven't been able to put into words yet, but I just saw it.
That's so funny.
So we can like rewind it.
Well, maybe I'll zoom in on it and show it in the video. Wow, I feel like there's so many moments for me that where you showed like your character and who you were. Something that's coming to mind for me is Daniel and I were long distance when we were dating, and so we FaceTimed a lot. And we were also both very busy when we were dating. And I remembered anytime we'd FaceTime, you would always be doing something. Like you'd be washing the dishes or doing your laundry or making dinner or whatever. And like honestly, in the time, it would like annoy me because I wanted your full attention and I was probably just laying in bed doing nothing. But I remember telling myself like, that's the kind of person I want. Like someone who's capitalizing on their time, taking care of their household, being responsible, not like leaving their dishes piling up for days and neglecting their responsibilities and neglecting their house. And so, it was kind of like this moment where I'm like, Mariah, this is what you want. Don't be annoyed. Don't be annoyed. And which has been awesome because, of course, I see that come to life when we started living together when we were married. Like, I see how you take care of the house. You're not someone who just, like, relies on me to do everything, but you're, like, a real partner in that.
Yeah. I think the one thing I would encourage someone to take away from this conversation on the topic of like dating for the future is the importance of just being intentional about how you're dating. And I think that some people could say, oh, it's not that deep or it's not that serious or you guys overcomplicate it. And I think for some people, maybe then this advice isn't for you, but there's some people who are like, you know what? I want to be deliberate and intentional with who I marry, who I spend the rest of my life with. And so we want to kind of give you these tools because they really helped us and we think it could help you as well.
And one last thing I'll say is that as I've kind of hit these different stages in life with Daniel, I've realized like, you know, it's still me. It's still the same person going through these things. I think when I was in high school and I would envision my life married, I'd like picture this like different woman in this like whole different life. And then I got married and I'm like, oh, well, it's still Mariah. I'm just like a bit older, have a bit more experiences. And then we just had our first child this year. And I feel like anytime I pictured like us having our first kid, I'd picture like different people almost. But then now we're living in it and it's like, oh, it's still me and Daniel in our relationship. We just have this baby. And yeah, he's transformed a lot of our like time and our life, and we have this big like love for him. But it's still you. So I think that's just helpful when you picture yourself married, especially to someone you're unsure about, because it's still going to be you in 5-10 years. It's not going to be some different person that knows how to like connect or deal with this person better. It's like still you, still your values, still who you are. Of course you change over time, but not to the point where it's like unrecognizable.
Yeah.
So yeah, be encouraged as you're dating and discerning if this is someone you want to marry, because it's a big decision and it's worth your time, thought, and intention.
I hope that this conversation is a help to you as you seek to be more intentional when it comes to dating and when it comes to determining whether the person you're with is your life partner.
If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe so that you can join in on more of these conversations. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to share it with someone you know. But with that, we'll see you next week.